Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
Mr. Brenneman.
Right here.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Here.
Mrs. Fatika.
Here.
Dr. Faust.
Here.
Mr. Leone.
Here.
Mrs. Law. Chairman Horton.
Here. This portion of the meeting, we now call on the hearing of the public. If you've called ahead, we allot you 5 minutes. And any other citizens that want to be heard after the people who have called in, we'll allot you 3 minutes. And our first person is John Zilastowski. Did I say that right?
You just said it right. Those people kill it. You got it right. There are 2 items I'm going to bring to County Council. One I will speak of. The second one I will not. I have typed up information for you. And because of confidentiality on the second matter, it will be something council will have to discuss privately. Main concern right now, why is taxpayers' money being used to pay for rent and monthly rent payments for people for no just cause? Why is there a policy of OCY to discriminate against men? They're also instructed not to follow the Pennsylvania Custody Act, along with the Child Abuse Act. This is our taxpayer money. They have a policy in place, kind of an unwritten one, but it is a policy nonetheless that's not on record. No father, under any condition, shall have physical custody of his children. If a father does do everything possible to remove them and place them, even if it's with an unfit mother, this policy needs to be changed, it needs to be voided and done away with. And since when is it the job of Erie County employees, which are paid by the taxpayers, to tell somebody that they are not allowed to have legal representation in a court of law? All right? Tell a witness who have witnessed child abuse that they are not allowed to testify. Folks, there's something majorly wrong here. Try to discredit a witness by claiming that the witness is the child abuser. This is what's going on in this courthouse continuously. And I seem to be the only one willing to complain about it and make it known public. Well, I'm going to make it known public. The biggest thing is intentionally withhold information from a court of law to predetermine the outcome of a court case. Can we say we have a problem here, folks? All the above acts are illegal. Erie County, by law, is responsible for all policies used in the operations of OCY. These are taxpayer-paid employees. That's our taxes that keep going up every year to fund their illegal habits. I, for one, am outraged by it. It's outright taxpayer abuse. One of the laws, which I have written up there, says that any person accused of illicit sexual acts cannot have custody of the children. Not by our OCY. By Erie County, nope. That law doesn't apply. There are a lot of internal policies that I have written up there that, folks, are outright ridiculous. And I know them because I was involved with this courthouse for 15 years, fighting their abuses before. I figured somebody younger would take it over, and all the abuses that I fought for and kept gone are now back. Taxpayers object. This is absolutely ridiculous. Okay? They have also outright refused to accept abuse reports from males. There was one filed by a certified Pennsylvania counselor, minister, youth minister, and they refused to accept it. They threw it in the trash. There's something wrong here, folks, because they definitely didn't do what they were supposed to do. I tried to talk to the director of OCY. Every time I tried, strangely enough, A person paid for by the taxpayers is not available to talk to the taxpayers. Geez, I wonder where there's a problem here. What is our tax money being used for? For abuses? For men to be discriminated against? To pay for rent in apartments for unfit mothers so they can get custody of their children? I roughly calculated the numbers that have been on the one case. So far, in 3 months, they have spent over 3,000 of our tax dollars. Times this by a possible 1,000 cases, times this by 4 quarters. That's an awful lot of money, folks. And I don't know about you, but I find it rather ridiculous that we have to raise taxes to support this, when there's no reason for it. Like I said, I put the documentation in there to be handed out to you. The second one, I'm afraid, is because of confidentiality, I will not make public at this time. It involves me, and I ask that you pay specific note to the bold text that is on there, specifically one involving my family and what happened to my family because of OCY abuses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zawitowski. Next on the agenda is Stuart Nash.
How you doing? My name's Stuart Nash. I'm the director of the Greater Erie Film Office. We are a nonprofit that's been around for about 5 years now, and the film office has been around for about 3 years now. I'm going to read from my notes here, so excuse me for a second. But the Greater Erie Film Office fosters awareness, appreciation, and understanding of the art of film while providing assistance, support, and education for regional film production. Since 2014, GFO, as we affectionately call it, has been Northwestern Pennsylvania's only state-recognized film office with Association of Film Commissioner International, or AFCI, membership and credentials. When productions industry decision-makers are looking for a location, the AFCI is their first stop, and they want to rely on a local film commissioner like GFO, who truly understands their needs and can make filming in the region a success. The AFCI is the only global association of trained film commissioners with representation on 6 continents, and it has over 300 members in its 300 member of film commissioners. And we are consistently regarded by the industry as a top-notch trusted resource. The Greater Erie Film Office is devoted to the business of facilitating film and television production activity, which generates billions of dollars annually. We provide invaluable tools for industry decision makers searching for the right location, production resources, and getting the most for every dollar spent. The reason why I tell you this is because myself and other individuals in our nonprofit have been slowly trying to build up the infrastructure in the region. And I don't know if anyone has ever heard of it, but there's a Pittsburgh Film Industry Report by the Millikan Institute. And they put out a 36-page report which emphasized a 3-pronged strategy for growing the region's media and entertainment industry that includes creating and retaining local talent, investing in infrastructure, and generating political support to ensure a long-term commitment to the Pennsylvania Film Tax Incentive Program. So basically, this is Pittsburgh's model that I have decided to adopt as the film commissioner. And since it's in what we call the Rust Belt film industry, it seems like a good model to follow. And basically, we've been in the process of talking to individuals like yourself, local universities, and getting the sort of word out and getting the actual ball rolling on these events. Now, getting back to the one reason why I'm here is that tonight I wanted to invite everyone here, which I sent out an email about 2 weeks ago, perhaps. I know a few of you read it, but to invite you out to this Thursday's open house out at Penn State University's Greater Erie Arts Rental, or GEAR as they call it. It is a brand new camera and film rental department. It's actually located at SB3, the old administration building for Hammermill Paper. We're going to be there from 5 o'clock till 8 o'clock with a program beginning at 6 o'clock. If you're interested, please come down. There's going to be some refreshments and drinks. We'd love to have you there. And just to go over a few things here too. GEAR rents high-end state-of-the-art filmmaking equipment to local, regional, and national filmmakers and production companies. It's an outreach of the Penn State Baron. GEAR offers low-cost rental rates in the interest of developing the film industry in the area, committed to training our student filmmakers. They offer further significant discounts to filmmakers, employing and training and mentoring the students, and they also obviously welcome questions to their rate structure and what have you. So we're going to have this meetup. and open house on Thursday. We're going to have various announcements that we're going to talk about as far as training seminars, firearm safety, workshop we're going to be having. And then we also have various other programs through our Erie Voices, which is our nonviolent filmmaker summer camp that we had our first one last year. We also have our screenplay and filmmaking competition, which we're in the beginning of our screenplay competition part, which we're always constantly looking for writers for that submission. But basically, I'm just here to invite you guys this Thursday, 5 o'clock, out at SB3 to come and see gear. Thank you,
Thank you, Mr. Nash.
Thank you.
and enjoy your pen and paper.
Thank you.
Any other citizens?
May it please the council, my name is Amy Compertor. I'm at 913 State Street, apartment 903 in Erie, 16501. I've come to talk to you today about the fate of EMTA and the charter. I'm aware that of the letter and the wording of what this body of council had presented to city council. I'm also aware of the charging that you wanted to appoint per appointment onto the body of council, of city council for the representation. I don't think it's a good idea to charge a body of, that is within this city, that we're supposed to be trying to work together. One of the things that I would like this body to do is to put aside the angst between city and county council and focus on resolving this, not just for the sake of the EMTA charter, not just for the sake of the EMTA, but for a more powerful reason, the citizens of Erie, not just the city of Erie, but also for the county. There are people who transport themselves from the county to the city to work, play, whatever, and from the city to the county as well to work, play, and do other things as well. When those employees are taken from the county businesses, for instance, we have a lot of people in Mill Creek Mall that are city, they live in the city, they transport on the M3, and they go to the Mill Creek Mall, for example, and they work there and come back home on the M3 or any of the other mall buses. Those businesses will be seriously affected. That's just one example. And the county residents won't be able to pay for their homes or however, how whatever affects a family. And it will affect a family. And it will also affect the businesses, because without their employees, then that business doesn't stand much of a chance of being successful. And you will see businesses fail in the county as well as the decline that's already present in the city. I seriously think that any of you want your citizens, whether they be city or county, to fail and to continue to degenerate. I urge you, put your wordings aside for the sake of our citizens, for the sake of Erie County and Erie City as a whole, not just as parts, but as a whole. Forgive each other as a body. Forgive city for whatever they've done. And I also have been urging city to forgive you for whatever you may have done in terms of wording. A lot of times we just don't put our wording out as exquisitely as we would hope. And for the sake of our citizens, please get this resolved before September so that we can live productive lives.
Ms. Commodore, your time is up. Thank you.
Thank
Any other citizens to be heard? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5. We approve the minutes from the previous
So
meeting.
moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Councilman Leon and Brenneman. Any discussion? Question? Roll call, Mr. Smith?
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Horton.
Yes. Item 6, reports of county officials. Does the county executive or her designee have any reports?
No reports tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Finance Committee?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I was thinking about something else.
That's okay.
Last Thursday, council met as the Finance Committee and agreed to put the following items on tonight's agenda, starting with ordinance number 23, which is capital fund projects for the library, the prison, and the public defender's office. We had quite an extensive discussion, and we will probably move to amend this ordinance to just do the most immediate projects, especially in the library, and proceed with the ones at the prison and the public defender's office as well. We also agreed to, it would be wise to table ordinance number 26 tonight. Its companion is already on the table, which is resolution number 10. And then going on to new business, we agreed to put on ordinances number 28 and 29, but move those to second readings for final passage tonight, just an issue of timeliness to get them moving along. There's no reason to wait. We can put those things in motion immediately. And then also possible resolution, adoption of resolution number 18 regarding a agent for Erie County's pre-disaster mitigation grant, and also possible adoption of resolution 19 regarding a contract for business association energy advisors. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Faust. Personnel Committee?
Mr. Chair, the Personnel Committee met immediately following the Finance Committee. We had no new items, but we do have, under old business, we have ordinance number 25. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Brenneman. Councilwoman Fatika, do you have a report?
Yes. Thank you. On April 21st, I attended the 33rd Annual Volunteer Banquet for Pleasant Ridge Manor Friends Forever to celebrate volunteerism in their community. The volunteers give so much to the residents of Pleasant Ridge Manor, but they express to me how rewarding this work is, and they invite anyone who's interested in becoming a volunteer to contact Pleasant Ridge Manor Director of Volunteers. And then earlier today, I presented a citation in honor of Public Health Week on behalf of Erie County Council and the community, expressing appreciation for their commitment to the quality of life in Erie County. At the board meeting that was held today, it was discussed that the WIC program will not be up for bids again by the state until 2017. Also, Community Health Services is working with community partners to assure the availability of childhood vaccines for the Erie School District children who are likely to be excluded from school on May 2nd due to missing vaccines. A more complete Erie County Department of Health report will be provided at the next County Council meeting. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilwoman Fatika. Councilman DiMatteo, do you have a report this evening?
Just real briefly, I did visit with the people, the seniors at the Hands Apartment out in Edinburgh about a week ago, and it was to discuss possible changes that they perceived to have read, whether through the newspaper or television media, about changes to EMTA going forward. I assured them, as I tried to do at our last meeting, that our intention is not to change anything operationally with EMTA. It's an issue of funding, it's an issue of board representation, that's it. And going forward, if we can make EMTA better for all involved, that would be our goal. It has nothing to do with changing routes, losing routes, whatever it may be. They were happy that I was able to meet with them. They would like to possibly meet with Mr. Tan. There is a loop service in the Edinburgh area that unfortunately tends to fill up mostly with college students from the university. And whether it's other residents of Edinburgh, and especially those in senior housing out there, many times, many of them can't get to the mall on a weekend to do any shopping. And I guess I would just add, too, in the past week, we found out that IDC has declared Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I would just quickly say that I guess I'm disappointed that we didn't hear from the administration before that was going to take place, and had to find out in the local news media as everyone else did. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman DiMatteo. Anyone else, any reports? We'll move on to item 7, old business. Mr. Smith, second reading of ordinance number 23, 2016, in title only, please.
A second reading of ordinance number 23 of 2016, second 2016 capital projects fund budget, supplemental appropriation of $4,032,681, creation of line items for renovations to Blasco Library, Prison, and Public Defender Office.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Dr. Faust and seconded by whom? Mr. Nabadio.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a motion that we amend this ordinance. We would leave the prison HVAC system as it is at $1,120,775, as well as the renovations to the Public Defender's Office at $124,438, but to amend down the renovations to be done at the library to include phases 1A and 1B, which is the Idea Lab and the entry and circulation area. That would take the original amount from $4,032,681 down to $2,249,892, as shown in Exhibit A that we were presented with in caucus.
I second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. It's been properly moved for the amendment by Mr. DiMatteo, seconded by Dr. Faust. Any discussion? Roll call on the amendment?
On the amendment, Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika.
Yes.
Dr. Faust.
Yes.
Mr. Leon.
Yes.
Mr. Horton.
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman.
Yes.
Item A has been amended to, as stated. I think we're ready for the roll call.
No,
No?
Mr. Chairman.
Come on, Doc, help me out.
Okay. I want a separation. There's three items that I have no problem with. That would be the Ideal Lab 1A, the prison HVAC, and a public defender renovation. I want to separate the library entry and circulation 1B. So I will vote on the other three and take a separate vote on the one for the library. Thank you.
So move to have that separated.
That's just his prerogative.
That's just
That's my
prerogative.
prerogative, yeah.
Okay, so we'll separate that one. Any other discussion? We're ready for the question?
So the first vote will be on the three projects less the entry project. Is
It
that
will-
correct?
It will be Library Ideal Lab 1A, Prison HVAC, and the Public Defender renovations.
All right, on that project set, Mrs. Fatika,
No.
Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes.
Now on the ordinance 23, the project 1B, entryway and circulation. Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leon,
No.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Okay. Okay, second reading of ordinance number 25 in title only, please, Mr. Smith.
Council will make notations on that ordinance as to how it was all split out. So if you voted yes on some particular section of it, we'll note for the record how you voted on each.
Thank you.
A second reading of ordinance number 25 of 2016, 11th, 2016 general fund budget, supplemental appropriation of $33,988 for hiring of court reporter.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Leon and seconded by Councilman Brenneman. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
On ordinance 25, Mr. Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo,
No.
Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance number 26, 2016.
Chairman, move the table.
Second.
26.
Been properly moved it's been moved to table by Dr. Faust and seconded by Councilman Leon. Any discussion?
None, none on the
No,
table.
no, it's tabled, right. Gotcha. Moving to item 8, new business.
Still vote on this.
Don't vote on it.
Oh, God. Okay, give me 1 second.
Relax, take it easy.
Let's just sign this first. Yeah.
Now the roll.
No, okay, let's, roll call, Mr. Smith, for the table.
On the motion to table, Mr. Brenneman?
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo?
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika?
Yes.
Dr. Faust?
Yes.
Mr. Leon?
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes.
The next one's already tabled.
We're moving to item 8, under new business.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
before we get to that, could I move to make second readings of ordinances number 28 and 29, amend the agenda
Second.
as such?
It's been properly moved and seconded by Dr. Faust and Councilman Leon to amend to second reading. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
On the motion, Mr. DiMatteo?
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika?
Yes.
Dr. Faust?
Yes.
Mr. Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman?
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance number 28, 2016, in title only, please.
A second reading of ordinance number 28 of 2016, 13th 2016 general fund budget, supplemental appropriation of $46,296 from prothonotary automation fees, restricted fund balance.
So move.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Councilmans Leon and Faust. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
On ordinance 28, Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance number 29, 2016, in title only, please, Mr. Smith.
A second reading of ordinance number 29 of 2016, 2016 general fund budget, revised revenue of $10,000 and creation of line item for taxes paid under protest.
So move.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Councilman Leon and Councilman Faust. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
On ordinance 29, Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leon.
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman.
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Item C, under new business, possible adoption of resolution number 18.
Resolution number 18 of 2016, naming a designated agent for Erie County's pre-disaster mitigation grant.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded by Dr. Faust and Councilman Leon. Any discussion? Being none, we have roll call, please.
On resolution 18, Mr. Leon.
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman.
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika.
Yes.
Dr. Faust.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Item D, possible adoption of resolution number 19.
Thank you. Resolution number 19 of 2016, approving a sole vendor contract between the County of Erie and the Manufacturers and Business Association Energy Advisors.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Councilman Leon and Fatika. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
On Resolution 19, Mr. Brenneman.
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika.
Yes.
Dr. Faust.
Yes.
Mr. Leon.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes.
Move to adjourn.
So moved. Meeting's adjourned.